Welcome to the Perk and Pub Podcast. This is episode 2. We will be talking about productivity, specifically the Pomodoro technique. 25 minutes on, about 10 minutes off. We gotta listen. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. I recently found out that this technique I use to be productive, which I thought I was some sort of a pioneer, if you will. I knew that other people did it, but I thought, hey, they never did it like I did, or maybe mine was unique. Basically, it's setting a timer and working for 25 minutes and then stopping and taking a short break. I usually do 25-minute sprints, I would call them, and then I would do 10-minute breaks. Go back to 25-minute sprints, 10-minute breaks. When I was at the Smarter Artist Summit, not this year, but last year, this was back in 2016 in Austin. It was the first Smarter Artist Summit. If you're an author, and first off, if you're a self-published author, you have to read, write, publish, repeat. That's the first thing. Then you might want to listen to the Self-Publishing Podcast by the Sterling and Stone guys. Really good stuff. And then check out the Smarter Artist Summit. I went there the first time last year. I didn't go back this past year, but I'm just in flux right now. That's not a bad thing. I'm not saying don't go there. Check it out. It's really good stuff. In any case, when I was there, I was talking to some authors, and I was telling them that I did that. I would write for 25 minutes and then stop for 10 minutes, rather. When I'd be writing, the phone was off. I wasn't checking any Facebook. I wasn't checking email. I wasn't checking text. Nothing. It was just writing completely, 25 minutes just straight, no interruptions. Now, I'm not the first to come up with no interruptions or focused type of working. I read this book called, now I can't remember the guy's name. His name was Newton, I believe. His last name was Newton. I'll put his name in the show notes once I figure out who he was, but you got to read that book. And he talks about that focused type of studying. If you're going to go to school, you can just basically get all your classes done really quick. I actually tried it. I went back to school, took a few classes, did his techniques, and Cal Newton. I want to say Cam Newton, but that's the football player. I think it's Cal Newton. In any case, regardless, I did that, and I was able to, basically what I did is I studied. I would read for an hour, take a 15-minute break, and read for another hour, 15-minute break, and I just did that over and over and over again for the first couple weeks of a class, and basically did all the work that I had to do in those. I took 2 classes. I got all the work done in about a month and a half, and then the rest of the time I was, basically all the reading, I should say, because I didn't get the assignments until they actually passed them out. But I got all the reading done, and then when it came time to do the tests, all I had to do was review what I had already read, and I had it in my brain already. So I used that hour on, 15 minutes off, hour on, 15 minutes off. However, when it came to writing, sitting and writing for an hour, I tried that, and it was exhausting, actually. Not that the words didn't come, they actually came. But when I would stand up after writing for an hour, my body, I felt like some sort of a really taco, if you have a taco shell that's already fried and you try to pull it apart and it just cracks, of course, because it's all stiff, rigid. That's the way my body felt after sitting down and writing for an entire hour. I says, I can't do this. So I was going to do 25 minutes and 10 minutes off, and that seemed to work. I still do it today. Anyways, I was talking to these other authors at the Smarter Artist Summit, and many of them says, oh yeah, that's where I got the term sprints. They're the ones that told me, it's a sprint. I do 25-minute sprints. I'll usually do 4 25-minute sprints or 8 25-minute sprints, or if they have to do 2,000 words a day, depending on how many they can do in a sprint, they would do that. Just in case you're wondering, in a 25-minute sprint, I type at 650 to 700 words. Now, I found that if I were to dictate, people tell me, if you were to dictate, you could do that a lot faster. Some people say they can do 5,000 words in an hour, which I find amazing. The other day I set up the dictation feature on Scrivener software. Scrivener, I'll put a link to Scrivener in the notes, is what I use to write my novels. My novel, I have 1 novel coming out, but I'm writing on a second one. I have a third one I'm already working on. In any case, I put that dictation on and I tried it. It felt very weird and ungainly. And quite frankly, when I looked at what the dictation said I said, it was some strange, weird horror movie. It was odd. It was something about grasshoppers and bleeding and whatnot. I was like, and then I forgot what I actually said. It doesn't work quite so good for me. Maybe that just means I need to articulate my words better. Maybe I have a slur. I think I have a little bit of a slur. A little bit of an accent. I don't know. You can tell me. By all means, leave a comment. Tell me if you hear an accent. Right now, I'm in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And I think I have some sort of West Texas accent, but I don't know. Because I'm so close to it. In any case, going back to what these authors were saying, they said they called them sprints, 25-minute sprints. It says, 25-minute sprints. I'll call them sprints. So I came back, and I've been doing that for a while. For pretty much everything I do in 25-minute sprints. If I have to work in the yard, I set a timer for 25-minute sprints. I work for 25 minutes, and then I'm done for 10 minutes, right? Depending on how many sprints I do. If I clean the house sometimes, it's 25 minutes. If I'm going to go through files, it's 25 minutes. If I have to do taxes, 25 minutes, right? And I take a break for 10 minutes. I told my buddy, and I believe it was Vinny, I told him the other day that I do these sprints, and he said, oh, the Pomodoro. And I says, I guess so. I don't know, whatever that means. Maybe, I guess it works. I checked it out, and on Wikipedia, which is the place, come on, let's be honest, this is where we get all of our information, Wikipedia. A lot of people like to say, well, you can't trust Wikipedia. When I was in school, they didn't allow me. When I take classes, occasionally I'll take some classes because I want to take classes. I like taking classes. I like learning new things. I like taking new courses. I like being in a classroom with other people. In any case, when I took some classes recently, because I hadn't been taking classes for a while, but between the time I had taken them and the time I had taken them recently, Wikipedia basically blew up, right? And so they said they make an actual rule you can't use Wikipedia as one of your top or one of your resources or your bibliography or whatnot. Okay, I understand. In a strange way, I kind of believe Wikipedia is a better source or a more reliable source than maybe just an encyclopedia, even though those are, written by scholars and experts. The thing about Wikipedia is it's living and growing, and then other people who see that there are faults can go in there and change it. Now that's, of course, that has its bad sides, right? I mean, any of you may have seen that Burger King had that commercial where they ask, they say, well, what is a Whopper? And he says, well, I can't tell you what a Whopper is. It's only a small segment. But here's what you can do. He says, you can ask Google. Google basically pulled up the Wikipedia page and started reciting it, right? This wasn't on the commercial. He was saying, ask Google. So people started asking Google. But what folks did, they kind of played a trick on Burger King. They went in and they kept on updating the Wikipedia site so that it would say weird things like that the burger had cyanide in it. I'm not saying it does. I'm saying that that's what they did. I'll put a link to that video in the show notes so you can take a look at it. But in any case, it's not like everybody is just going around through every single entry in Wikipedia. It's just too big, right? You can't go through every single entry and put in weird stuff. And if you did, somebody would catch it, right? So in short, I went to Wikipedia. And in Google, I just Googled 25-minute productivity, and it came up Pomodoro technique. Sure enough, my buddy Vinny was correct. Pomodoro technique. I believe it was Vinny. If it's wrong, I'll correct myself in a later episode. In any case, Pomodoro technique, and I'm going to read this right from Wikipedia, okay? The Pomodoro technique is a time management method developed by Francesco Cirillo in the late 1980s. The technique used a timer to break down work into intervals, traditionally 25 minutes in length, separated by short breaks. These intervals are named pomodoros, the plural in English of the Italian word pomodoro, tomato, after the tomato-shaped kitchen timer that Cirillo used as a university student. It adds, closely related to concepts such as time boxing and iterative and incremental development used in software design. The method has been adopted in pair programming contexts. I don't know that last part, I just don't. I'll put a link to this, of course, the Wikipedia. You could take a look at it. Just look up Pomodoro, Pomodoro technique. In any case, that is a system, not a system, or a practice that I use to do everything, basically everything. The only thing I don't use for that, I don't use that system or that technique is when I'm mopping the floor, and I'll tell you why. The floor of the house that I currently live in is this whitish beige floor, and it's matte type of a application tile. I'll tell you what, it shows everything, like every single dirt particle or whatnot. So what I do is that I get down on my hand, I get a bucket of Mr. Clean Gain. I like Mr. Clean Gain. It just works really good. It smells really good. I like it. So I put that in a bucket, make it all soapy, and I get one of those sponges that has a sponge on one side and adhesive on the other side, right? That green, not adhesive. I want to say like abrasive, but it's not abrasive. It's just like a scrubber. And I'll take that, I'll get down on my hands and knees, and I scrub the entire floor. Every square inch of the floor, I do it in little circles, right? And so I can get everything clean. Now, you can imagine that takes more than 25 minutes of me doing that. Well, first I scrub it. After I'm done scrubbing it with the abrasive side, I go back and I mop it so that it gets a nice clean sheen on it. But like I said, as you can imagine, that takes longer than 25 minutes. And I don't want to stop halfway through because, you got to get up and you got to wash your hands. And you got to sit there and for 10 minutes while you're looking at this dirty floor going, damn it, I want to get this thing clean. I can't do it. So I don't use it for that. I also don't use it for, of course, walking. I'm not going to walk for 25 minutes and then just stand there like an idiot for 10 minutes. No, if I have like a 3-hour walk, I'm going to walk 3 hours. Why not, If I have a 45-minute run, I'm going to run for 45 minutes. But in any case, using it for my writing has been amazing. And I share it with as many people as I can when they wonder, how do I get started writing? Now, I just before I started this podcast, I was watching different YouTubes because, hey, YouTube, right? There's this one about 25 psychological tricks at work, and they're not necessarily Machiavellian mind tricks, Jedi tricks to be playing on other people. Some of them are just tricks to use on yourself. One of which was the 10-minute trick. And it says if you have to do something that you don't want to do, right? You just don't want to do this thing, just do it for 10 minutes, right? And the idea is that, well, twofold. One is if you stop after 10 minutes, at least you've done 10 minutes more than you would have done. And you've done 0, right? However, if you do it for 10 minutes, something may click inside of you that says, okay, I've already started this. I'm just going to finish it. And then you can work for the full 25 minutes if you have another timer, or you could just continue going until you get tired or whatnot. I find that this works with things like doing my like taxes. Like I said, I just recently had to do the taxes. If you just get started, you just start it for 10 minutes, and then even if you walk away for an hour and then come back for 10 minutes, you're still 10 minutes ahead of the game. And crazy thing is, we can get a lot more in 10 minutes than we think we can. In 25 minutes, like I said, in 25 minutes, I can get 600 and some odd words typed out. And that means in an hour, I can do roughly 1,200 to 1,400 words. Even if it's 1,000 words an hour, that means that in 10 hours, I've got 10,000 words. If a novel, my goal for my novels is 80,000 words. Más o menos, right? I can go over, I can maybe go a little bit under. I never go under. No writer ever goes under. They always go over and wonder, and then they hate cutting out those pieces that they have to cut out. But if it's 80,000 words, and if I can do, 10,000 words an hour, and that's only 80 hours. And that's not a whole lot of time. And now I know it sounds like a lot of time. 80 hours, oh boy, a 40-hour work week. No, 80 hours is not that long, actually, when you think about it. Let's say you were to write for an hour a day, and you can write 1,000 words an hour, like less than what I write, right? And I'm not Superman or anything like that. You're just normal. You could write an 80,000 word, of course, 80 hours is 80 days, right? And take 5 days a week, you take 2 days off for the weekend. Why not? And go out, have fun. Who knows? Hey, we'll go watch a movie. But for those 5 days, that means that for 80 hours, 80 divided by 5 is what? 1, then 3, 0, 16, right? 16 times 5 is going to be 80. If my math is off, somebody will tell me. Regardless, let's just go with 16. That means in 16 weeks, you could write your novel, an 80,000 word novel, by only writing 1 hour a day. 16 weeks. What does that look like? Basically, that's 4 months, right? 4 times 4, even though our months are a little bit longer than that. 4 times 4 would be 40. So in 4 months, a person can write a novel. I'm going to take a drink of my wine here. This is a pub part. I wanted to point out a little something. Productivity-wise, this should be roughly around 25 minutes. I'm going to try to keep it around 25 minutes. I was supposed to gauge it. I was supposed to set a timer, and I forgot, but that's okay. This is the second Perk and Pub podcast. At least it's supposed to be the second one. For some reason, if I have another one and I decide to publish it before, I don't know. But this should be the second one. It should take me roughly about 50 of these to finally find my sea legs, if you will. If you're listening to this, I super appreciate you listening to this. However, know that I am new at this. I'm talking to my computer. In fact, I'm just talking to GarageBand. I'm talking to a red line that just keeps going across the screen. It may or may not be intriguing to you. It may or may not be compelling. However, I can say that I'll have 1, I'll have 2, and then I'll have 3, 4, 5, etc. Hopefully, all the way up until 50, and maybe I can find my legs at that time. Maybe at that time people will come back and listen to these. Quite frankly, maybe at that time, I don't want anybody to come back and listen to these because they're so bad. Maybe this is bad. I feel myself talking faster, maybe because I have limited myself to about 30 minutes, and I'm thinking, hey, I want to get some more stuff out there. I really want to get a lot of stuff out there. I've heard also that talk about narration. I recently looked into, and I won't talk a lot about this right now, but I am signed up for Amazon's ACX, meaning that I would like to narrate books. My goal is to narrate 100 books. One of the things in my studies that they talk about, what they don't like for the narrators to do, is they don't like for them to talk fast. They don't like for them to read fast. And maybe I'm talking fast, maybe I'm talking a little too fast. The alternative is for me to talk at this level, this rate, which may put people to sleep. Strangely enough, I was talking to a girl the other day, a friend of mine. I shouldn't say a girl, a woman, right? And I wasn't, of course, talking at this rate. I was talking more at a rate that reflected the moment, how she was feeling, how I was feeling, the things that I wanted to say, more at this rate, this tone, this rate. And she said I had a soothing voice, which was very nice. I took that as a compliment, of course. And it made me think that, what am I trying to do, right? If I'm trying to get you pumped up, if I'm trying to get you amped, maybe faster is better. If I'm trying to soothe someone, maybe slower is better. And if I'm trying to really soothe someone, maybe lower and slower, maybe something a little more melodic in the way that I talk, and the vocal variation would be good. I don't know. I don't know exactly where I'm going to stand. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know where I'm going to go with this. I don't know if I want to get people pumped up and amped. I don't know if I want to get people relaxed and want to have them ease into their chair. That's something that maybe you can give me some feedback on. I love any comments. I love the fact that you're actually listening to this. That's great. If you have anything you want to share with me, if you have any other ideas or any extra knowledge on either the Pomodoro technique or the 10-minute technique for that psychology, any of these things that I've talked about, by all means, go ahead and just send them to me in the comments, or just send me an email at jason.solace, the number 1 at gmail.com. That's JASON .SALES, the number 1 at gmail.com. I prefer no hate mail, but hey, people send what they got to send, right? In any case, let's go ahead and just leave that productivity at that in terms of the 25 minutes Pomodoro technique. Do it. Try it. Do it with whatever you've got to do. Do it with, if it's walking, sometimes you just got to walk. That's 12 and a half minutes out, 12 and a half minutes back. If it's running, 12 and a half minutes out, 12 and a half minutes back. If it's researching a paper, again, 25 minutes. If it's maybe even for mopping your floor, maybe you just want to do 25 minutes. Okay, that's great. Whatever, do that. And again, couple that with a 10-minute technique where you just do something you absolutely don't want to do. The other day I had to make a phone call, and I did not know how long this phone call was going to last. I had to tell somebody something that it really was hard for me to say this to this person. It wasn't a bad thing. It was a good thing, but at the same time, it changed our relationship, and it was hard, and I didn't want to make that call, but I did. And I looked and I said, I don't know how long this is going to take, but in my mind, it says, I'll give myself 10 minutes to just have a conversation. The funny thing is, as soon as I started the conversation, I didn't have to really worry about if it was 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute, 20 minutes, an hour, or whatnot. It was actually just breaking through to just start it, and that's a good thing to do as well. So I'm going to leave it at that. Go ahead and be productive. I'm going to end this with something topical. Now, this may make this whole podcast not necessarily, how shall I say, evergreen, but it is topical to me. I woke up, I'm going to get two things that are topical. I'm going to tell you something negative, and then I'm going to tell you something positive. And negative is me being negative, and then the positive thing is just positive all around. The negative thing is I saw that right now, of course, it's April 15th. Ooh, April 15th. Did you get your taxes done? Hopefully you did. In any case, me, I've got a CPA, so we're figuring stuff out. If you own your own business, you know what I'm talking about. 1099s and deductions and all this stuff, expenses, receipts, mileage on cars. Don't get me started. In any case, it's April 15th, 2017. So the new trailer for the new Star Wars movie is coming out, and I got to tell you, I don't care. I see it in my my YouTube feed, and I swipe past it. Please get that out of my face. I see it in the Facebook feed. I swipe past it. Just get it out. I don't want it. I don't know why. And I like Star Wars. I do. But the idea of another Star Wars movie, there was just 2 recently come out, and then another one's coming out. It makes me nauseous. They just crank this stuff out. It's like sausage, just sort of cranking, just crank out the sausage. And it may be a great movie, but it's just that whole cranking out sausage, crank out the sausage, and more people need to eat sausage, just crank it out. Do you disagree with me? I don't know. I think that they're doing a disservice to the franchise. I would love if they would have made 3 years in between movies, and just kept it fresh, kept it up. But that's just me. Maybe more sooner is better. Who knows? The second thing that's topical that came out yesterday was the rest of the John Mayer album, and that's Search for Everything. And if you haven't heard it, just listen to it. You listen to it on YouTube. Listen to all the songs. Amazing stuff. John Mayer's probably one of my, I don't even know. I have all of his stuff is really great. My least favorite album, I'll just start there, is Paradise Valley. Before that, my favorite album probably has to be Born and Raised or Continue. I don't know. It's hard to say what the favorite one is. But this one is amazing. If you have a chance to listen to it, I'll put a link down to his website and also how to get his album. If you want to get his album, by all means, go ahead and get his album. In any case, I'm going to leave it at that. This is a Perk and Pub podcast. This is a pub part. I'm sitting here with a little glass of wine. And I would encourage you to sign on to my email list. Go on to jason-solace.com. That's jason-solace.com. From there, you can sign up to my email list. You can get all sorts of fun stuff. I'm getting ready to really start this cool thing for if you sign up. But at the same time, when you sign up right now, you're going to get cool stuff anyways. I have a lot of benefits, a lot of perks for people who are just on the list, a lot of secret places that you can go on my website, see some cool stuff. And I want to share some really fun stuff for you. I want to share some things that are not only fun, but things that can help you and things that I'm finding for you. It's going to be great. And of course, you can sign up. It's totally opt-in. If you don't want to be there, if you don't want to get my emails anymore, by all means, go ahead and unsubscribe. I'm not going to hurt my feelings because it's not about me. It's actually about you. So go ahead and do that. Again, if you want to see any Perk at Work comic, go to perkatworkcomic.com. If you want to see my In the Way comics, go to inthewaycomic.com. And if you want to connect with me on Facebook, go ahead and I think I'm Jason Solis 1 on Facebook. You can go ahead and connect with me there. Go ahead and send me a message, send me a friend request, whatnot. Hey, I always like new friends. In any case, you have a great day. Send me some comments, send me an email, do whatever you got, give me whatever you got, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.